Can anyone possibly love Shemp more than me? Well, I would say this guy. This guy would love Shemp more than me. And we're going to talk about him. Yeah. We're going to talk about him in a sec. We'll be right back after this.
Every one of you watching this screen, look out.
Anything can happen in the next half hour.
What did I tell you about cartoons?
They've got a lot of brains, and they've got a lot of chutzpah.
Tell me how comic books make you feel, Dave.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Hello, welcome back. This is Franz Cantor, cartoonist, illustrator, and toon talker. I'm here with
Jim Bridges, and I'm a cartoon. I'm a closet cartoonist, actually, but I'm also.
Some would say cartoons belong in the closet.
I'm also the president of the Australian Cartoon Museum here in downtown Docklands, Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah,
the Australian Cartoon Museum.
This is we found this book. This is called Comic Art, and this book. There's a couple of things actually we're going to look at, but today we want to look at Drew Friedman, and it's in this book. There's lots of beautiful articles and cartoons.
Wonderful
about cartoonists
wonderful.
in there. Masters of American Comics. What else is there? There's this guy, which I really love. Is the guy responsible for all of the joy buzzers and artwork for all the
Are you doing an ad for our next film? Are you doing an ad for our next
Mystic Smoke from Fingertips? I actually had that. Gave it to a bully in school. Stopped being beaten. So I
really
be beaten up. Yes, I got it from. I think it was. Is Weirdos the Melbourne one? The shop Weirdos? No, that's Sydney.
No, it was. What was it?
The Magic Shop.
Yeah, was it
Elizabeth
Bernard's?
Street.
Bernard's Magic Shop.
Yeah. Well, it was called Weirdos in Sydney in George Street. In was it George? Not George Street, Elizabeth Street. Elizabeth Street in Sydney. All right. So what we're going to talk about is the work of Drew Friedman, principally from this article, which is really cool in this book. But also we're going to refer back to any similarity of persons living or dead is purely coincidental, which is an anthology of his comics.
It's his first book.
Yeah,
actually.
so you may be, I mean, there's some great stuff in here. You may be, look at Jim Nabors, you may be familiar with his work from Heavy Metal magazine. So we'll go into that in a sec. Anyway, let's start. This is, he has these really tight caricatures. This is some of his later work. We're going to look at a variety of his styles. He started out with this really tight stipple technique, which is very interesting. But look at his caricatures. They're all of pretty, zany expressions, and that's really, and they're quite tight likenesses as well. Well, that's from the, that's his actual logo, Jerry Lewis's logo. We should get a close-up of that. Let's see if we can flip cameras. Excusez-moi. And no, are we going to? No, we're not going to. Doing it the wrong way. Nope. Oh, here we go. So this is some of the later work of his. His style has changed, become very slick.
He doesn't do stipple anymore.
Doesn't really do stipple anymore. No. Let's have a look at this. Where's the logo?
There it is.
That's Jerry Lewis's own logo. Hey lady! Hey lady! That's his stuff. So hey lady is that's all he says in this comic. It's a really interesting take on comedians, primarily Jewish comedians from the early days of like the 50s.
And 40s, and 40s.
And the 40s.
And 30s and 20s.
Really? It goes that far back?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
This,
This picture here, you need a close-up on this one. This is when he was in school. This is his notebook,
right.
and that's the size of his notebook, as you can tell by the spiral holes. And that was the cover.
That's his notebook. Oh, you can see the
And
the holes
every spare millimetre,
there. It's quite dark though.
yeah, but every square millimetre, we got the shadow of it. That's why. But every square millimetre, there's a face.
Yeah. This is kind of cool, isn't it? It's sweet.
And this picture here, when he was a kid, he had this extraordinary collection of monster photos and things on his wall, and
From B Films.
and Life magazine. Life magazine was going to do a story on him as the
As a
craziest
collector.
Bedroom, as the craziest bedroom, a kid's bedroom in the USA.
Yeah.
Now, go back.
So look at some of the... Well, let's move forward because we've got a lot of stuff
that's
to
him.
cover.
That's him as a kid.
Yeah.
His father was a writer and an editor of magazines and stuff. His brother went on to edit things too and became a writer for his comics.
Yeah.
But he was really interested in B movies and now look at this. We've got to have a close-up of that. Look at the work on that. Beautiful, absolutely.
Yeah.
Have a close-up on that.
So he was in this guy's I forget his name. He's a Swede or something. He's in a couple of films, horror films. He was in a Sherlock Holmes film with Basil Rathbone.
Oh, I remember that. He's the killer.
He's the killer. Yes.
Was it a bald-headed killer or something? What was it? Was he in that? Okay, yeah.
But he used
He
to.
was really scary.
Yeah. He
like
used to fold people in half.
That's right.
And also they did a beautiful homage to him in Rocketeer. And they had an actor play that role. But he had this, what is this, like the elephantitis
Well, no, if
thing?
you read,
This big bone.
it tells you here.
Acromegalia.
That's what it says.
Yeah, acromegalia.
Yeah.
He had acromegaly, which those of you that have watched Tarantula would remember that the distortions on Mr. Waverley's face, the professor's face in Tarantula, was responsible for gigantism, which is acromegalia.
Oh.
This is Tor, what's did we call it? Bela Lugosi, Tor Johnson, I think? Tor Johnson, yeah. So this is Plan 9 from Outer Space, which is a...
Actually, he that was his favourite film.
This was his favourite film.
Yeah.
It's really corny and dramatic. It's one of the last appearances, if not the last appearance, of Bela Lugosi. Had Vampira, who was a TV kind of a Elvira at the time.
Here he is, Drew, standing in front of where Tor used to live. So he's a real fan, absolute fan.
Yeah.
And
This is Shemp. This is
This
beautiful.
actually took his career off because his brother used to edit Screw magazine.
Yeah. So this caricature.
And they would
really-
have terrible
perfect.
sexual cartoons on the cover.
Oh, did they?
And then they bunged. His brother gave him about 11 covers to do, and he did this one, and everybody bought it. And suddenly, and because you've got the context of how to spank a bimbo and all that sort of stuff, and it's got shrimp on the cover, shemp on the cover, and of course, he's drawn him many times, but people actually say that because of that cover, it caused a renaissance in Shrimp's. In Shrimp's.
Well, you've
in
seen it
Shemp's,
outside
history.
of the Three Stooges, so
Yeah.
it's the first time you see it. It's like
And he wasn't-
Warhol taking soup cans and putting it on canvases.
Yeah, but he
You
wasn't.
see it first time outside of that context.
He wasn't one of the Blessed Trinity. He was in there because of a replacement because Curly got sick. And he was never regarded by the fans as the real. But
Well, he preceded Curly.
Yeah.
And then Curly died and
Yeah,
he came back.
that's right.
But he had his own film career as well.
Yeah, he's in lots of movies.
Yeah, he does some really good parts.
Yeah.
This one in The Invisible Woman.
But we're here because of the drawing.
Yeah,
And all that-
so these are stippled. These are stippled. So let's see if I can switch to camera 4 and hopefully get a closer shot of these. These are Doberman. Of course, you know Doberman from the Sergeant Bilko show. You can have a look at that. I don't know if you can make that out. There's tiny little pricks of ink drawn with a rapidograph.
Yeah.
Which incredibly tight, and he's kind of him and I would say Virgil Finlay would be exponents of this particular cross-hatching style,
but
pin style.
It would take him a day to do a panel. That's what he said. It would take him roughly a day to do a panel.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of detail in there, tons and tons of detail. So this could be quite big.
But the importance of him, he gets the likeness. He gets the likeness, but it's the context. He puts that likeness in, which makes him special.
Yeah. Well, look at the little faces in the background. You know, they'll help to tell the story, help to tell the tale. So that's.
He was born in '58, and he did a course in commercial illustration.
Yeah.
His dad was a writer and an editor of magazines and stuff, and he was a playwright. And a lot of famous people came through his house when he was a kid, so he was used to celebrities.
Yeah. Now look at this.
He grew up loving the monster magazines.
Yes.
And the old monster movies, the B movies, and old TV shows.
Yeah, I think he did
like Life with Riley and
actually,
things like that.
You mentioned the 30s. He did the Pinhead from Freaks.
Yeah.
With an incredibly sensitive style. This pen style, the stipple, reproduces much better than a photograph, and as such you can get incredible amounts of clarity and expression. They're really powerful caricatures. They're beautiful. They're almost like studies. Look at the spit on this guy's.
And see, here's a story here. These are the wives of the Three Stooges. Can you read that? At all? And of course, he would get famous people, or not so famous people, that people didn't know anything about their personal lives, and of course he would make it up. And this is about the wives of the Three Stooges.
Right.
And
I still can't read.
Well, they talk about.
I can read reading, but I can't read writing.
She says that basically that they work where they're slapping each other around during the day, and they came home at night, and of course. Some of it moved on to the wives because they couldn't stop slapping. You know, that's what she.
They were slap happy.
Yes, basically that's what she's saying.
Interesting.
And of course, so they go into these sort of terribly realistic details about people's lives. And see, this is a.
Well, that's a beautiful thing.
That's an extraordinary picture. Jerry Lewis made this famous film about a clown who. Used to take kids to the gas chambers, and it was never released. I think he ended up directing and producing it. No, it's not burnt. But the humour is such that it's
too black, too dark.
It's too dark. It's probably one of the darkest thing going.
Yeah, that subject's very
But that style. I mean, Kurt Vonnegut called him the Goya.
The Vermeer.
No. Someone else. No, Kurt Vonnegut called him the Goya of American culture, which says volumes about his style and what he does. And of course, they're making a film. I think it's been made now called The Vermeer of the Borscht Welt, which is much more of a funny film. Amazing
shots, amazing photographs that he worked from with these, and was able to bring out incredible amount of detail and love. You know, well, we'll forgive him for this Trump one.
That's the other thing.
There's recognizable bits and pieces from pop culture from the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and it's just thrown in there. But it's got some kind of a beautiful flavour to it. It's
not just thrown in there. There's reasons it's there.
Well, that's Harryhausen's. That's from Harryhausen's, referring to Harryhausen's Cyclops.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's in Australia. That's Jerry G. But in America, he's someone else.
Yeah. It's 1930s.
Yeah. They did a series. They did a series of. You know,
these are his pencils.
You know the garbage
These are cool.
pile kits.
Yeah.
Well, he did cards for that company, but they were so.
The Barfo family.
Yeah, they were so
Gross.
that they cancelled because they did a
They're
whole.
too realistic.
Yeah, well, no, they did a series on schools, and they had this where the teachers are murdered by the kids, and like the science teacher, he's chopped up into dissection. Instead of dissecting frogs, they dissect the science teacher, and they're pretty gruesome and stuff. He moved on to colour, and he lost his. He stopped doing the stipple.
Well,
because
these
it took too long.
Yeah.
It took too long, so he got this new style of.
Well, the painted covers
Yes.
that he did for the Standard, the Weekly Standard, and other magazines, they're the same characterization, the same caricature and humour and quirkiness, but in a painterly style. So it's very interesting. I mean, look at these. They're better than the originals. They're better than the original people.
Well, that's the New York.
Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like here he's got. Woody Allen did an article about baseball. Notes of a know-nothing Knicks fan, and
For the Observer, yeah.
yeah, and of course he was so pissed off. Woody was so pissed off because he put all these liver spots on him,
Yeah.
and freckles, that he said he'd never write for the New York Observer ever again. And it's one of the few times that people actually protested. And something we'll show you later on.
They protested about his freckles.
Well, he protested. But this is a book he's done on Jewish comedians, old Jewish comedians, and it's just so full of love and beautiful quality, you know. That's the other thing. When he criticises people, he comes from a place of love because he loves all these people.
Yeah, it's like an ultra realism.
It's too easy to tear
Very
strips
nice.
off people, but when you really care about someone and you tend to criticise them, you're coming from a better place, and
Yeah.
that's where the art really kicks in.
So that will take us. That's a nice little segue. So that's in comic art. We'll have a look at. We'll revisit comic art at another time. Let's have a quick little look at the stipple style of his work. This is like an anthology of all his comics,
This stuff
which ran
coming-
in Heavy Metal, I believe.
And other places. This
maybe,
was 84 and 85. These were
So it would be a National Lampoon magazine and Heavy Metal primarily, I think.
yeah. See, there's William Frawley, who was in My Three Sons.
Yeah.
He was the
Also in the Lucy show. I Love Lucy.
yes, and he goes out on the tear after he leaves the show.
Yeah.
So he
Well,
leaves.
Fred's from the Lucy show.
Yeah, so he leaves the show and then he goes out and gets caught up in drugs and God knows what.
Yeah.
And hookers and all sorts of things. Look at this picture.
Yeah.
Look at the lips on this woman. Ralphie
Starter
boy.
sections. The Honeymooner.
And, to the moon, Alice. Bang. And she goes to the moon.
Very, very, very funny. From Dragnet. The commies are coming. So it's kind of like a reference to the 1950s hysteria.
Yeah.
The McCarthy era. Who's that? Is that that's not McCarthy. That's someone else.
No,
That's,
it's not McCarthy. It's not
head of the
Is it,
FBI.
I was gonna, but it's not a good Hoover. Yeah. So, for
the Joe
instance,
Franklin story. So he'd take these little comedians or these B-grade actors
Yeah, I
or
mean,
these shows, and he'd
nobody-
write a comic about them.
yeah, no
with
one
the
knows
same-
what William Frawley's private life is like. So
Yeah,
he would use that space and he would fill it.
Yeah,
He would fill it with a
but
fantasy.
it's a fantasy of people in the know. So it's like the same sort of humour that
Isn't that wonderful of
Buster Keaton.
Yeah, look at it.
The same sort of humour as Robert Crumb.
yeah. Who they're
Sort of
both
looking
they're both
at-
fans of each other, by the way.
Yeah, so it's like looking at under a microscope, in more ways than one, at these comedians or at these B-grade actors, and making up a fantasy of what they do behind closed doors, and that's the story. That's the gag.
Well, game shows host walk amongst us instead of zombies walk amongst us or aliens walk amongst us.
Yeah.
So he just puts them in a context. This is really important about his work.
Yeah.
It's where he puts the context. It's the context, seeing his work in context.
Yeah. Bob Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, this is like from early Bob Hope record albums.
Okay.
This is like he didn't draw this. This is a Hirschfeld cartoon, but he used that, I think, on record covers.
There's a lot of lines in there for a Hirschfeld.
Well, it's early Hirschfeld.
Ah, well, I'll let you off. And so, this one is Andy Griffith's show, but
yeah,
it's about. He just says the idea. What happens?
Aunt May, Aunt B,
Aunt May, I think.
Aunt B.
If a black guy turns up in Mayberry,
right?
And of course, this is what happens. Look, he grabs him out of the car. They're going to lynch him.
So it's a reference to police brutality.
Yeah, but
today, it is a lynching too.
Yeah. So, and of course,
about white,
straight away after lynching,
the whites in the South, the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, because it's Middle America, and Opie looks a bit like the Mad magazine guy, and look at straight after that
Don
picture,
Knotts.
you had
Yeah.
Don Knotts. Wow, what a contrast!
But Don Knotts is here, Barney, so he's one of the hooded figures as well.
Yeah.
So it's like a really incisive.
And Tor Johnson, from that movie. I mean, he was in the.
Plan 9 from Outer
Yes,
Space.
but he's in the other movies too, by Ed what's his face?
Yeah. Ed Wood.
Yeah, but he loved this character.
Yeah.
And he met a bloke who used to go visit him, and he used to talk like that in real life. How he talks in the films.
Yeah, he used to talk like this. He had that sort of stunted, like, how much doggy in window, work for Tor, Tor like oatmeals.
Yeah.
So he had a very,
Early Tarzan.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. I mean, reading these, I remember these from Heavy Metal magazine, and I think from National Lampoon magazine, and they're really well welcomed in the magazine after these sort of
fantasy things.
Fantasy, sci-fi.
Well, they're satire, but at the same time, they come from it. They're not just tearing strips off them, as a lot of satire does. I mean, he loves these people. He loves this movie.
Yeah. So this is
and see this. Is it? No, it's not.
Robot Monster. Yeah.
See, is this?
So he'll refer to a film that everybody makes fun of, right? Like Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Attack of the 50-foot Stinky instead of the 50-foot woman.
Yeah, and this is one of the replacement Stooges.
Yeah. I forget his name. And look, Star Dissections.
Very cool. So they had a really, great effect in a magazine like Heavy Metal. You've got all this serious stuff. All of a sudden you get hit in the face with this. Is beautiful. And the details, the magazine was able to recreate this stipple. That's the thing, you're looking at matte pages here, right?
It's soaking up the stipple.
A little bit, yeah. But with the glossy pages, you can really get an impression of how much work is involved in this. I mean, it's mind-boggling, I'm not surprised that each one would take a day, each of these panels. So you're looking at years, literally years of work here in this book.
So Tor Johnson goes to Hollywood.
Yeah, he revisited Tor Johnson quite a few times, as well as this fellow whose name escapes me, but he's you probably can refer to him from.
It's someone Doodles.
Yeah.
Someone Doodles, and of course you know nothing about him, but of course he puts him in all these contexts.
Well, I've seen him in shows like this, Dick Van Dyke or something. He would be a guest appearance in a show.
He's in Sardis here because
Probably
of the caricatures in the background.
Yeah, that's in Hollywood.
Yeah, there's Sardis, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Abbott and Costello are in Rat City.
Yeah.
And like
It's really nice.
you've got really, I mean, it's grimy and it's here they are. Look.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful. I mean, it is like Robert Crumb, really on steroids in a way. You've got a lot of that grit and
Yes.
and you know the filth, the disgusting details and stuff like that. But there's also the little oodles of rat fink in there.
But
as
in
well.
a way, it's
And who's the guy that did Lana the lady? No.
Basil Wolverton.
Basil Wolverton.
Yes.
So he had that sort of a penchant for the grotesque.
Yes.
So these were grotesqueries, which he paraded in this way in the comics.
And because he
And
had
it's
the,
so
he had
powerful.
the strong likenesses.
Yeah.
And the context he's putting these almost photo-like drawings
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
It causes this incredible sort of friction. You know.
Yeah, it's like, you know, what happens to Abbott and Costello when they're not on stage or when they're not
Yes.
in a film.
Yes.
It's behind the scenes.
Yes.
And all of these little vignettes of character walk-ons and things, and you'll see, you know, characters in the background. You'll recognize people.
Yeah, from all sorts of B
Different
movies.
contexts.
Like you've got Dizzy Gillespie here, and he's
Yeah.
famous because he had
And his head
he
explodes.
He has large
Cheeks.
because of blowing of the trumpet.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody thought he's going to break one day, so he's the first one who does that. He follows that idea through.
Yeah, so in a comic, a double page or something, he would often put in little vignettes of something else, like almost like baseball cards or ads,
Yes.
you know, that don't refer to anything, but just part and parcel of the feel, the look and feel of the era
Yes.
that he's trying to create with his own particular style of humor, which is not vicious. He's not like you know, making fun of these people. He's kind of making or using these people as props to tell
Another
a
story,
weird, strange story.
Another story.
Now,
That's
this
right.
is Jimmy Durante Boff's Young Starlets. So I don't know whether there's any real context for this or scuttlebutt that he draws these
He was
ideas
hardly
from.
ever sued,
But-
he was hardly ever
Yeah.
sued because people actually got into what he was doing. You know.
Yeah, I think it's sort of good-natured mischief, you know. So it's like he got away with it because, you know, he's literally spent a day drawing this. Drawing this panel here. He literally spent a day drawing it. So you kind of look at it and think, oh, well, you know, it's very naughty.
It's completely different to everybody else
Yeah.
who worked in the underground or even the overground of
Yeah.
comics, you know.
But this is a nice shot of Larry.
Yeah. That's interesting
Yeah.
because of the eyes and the split, you know, the gutter down the middle.
This is Tor again. Tor meets Tor. Me Tor too. Wait for Tor. Me Tor too. You Tor too?
I thought I saw.
No, we Tor too. So there's 3 Tors.
I thought I tore a tour.
Yeah. So he wakes up. It's a nightmare. Then he rings up Bella. Bella, how many Tor? And he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. How many Tor? So if you look at Bella, there's all the alcohol on his bedside.
Yeah.
Probably, you know, some drug paraphernalia or something in there. But it's so outlandish and
But they're done.
weird.
They're done with love.
So William Bendix, of course, has been in quite a few,
I Married Joan, and lots of
Yeah.
noirs.
lots of noirs, and in a
Yeah.
Bob Hope, was it My Favorite Blonde, I think, or something else?
Oh, lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Now this is interesting
Ernest
because
Borgnine.
this is called June 2050, and he did this series where he says everybody in the year 2050 will look like Ernest Borgnine. So all the babies, everybody looks like Ernest Borgnine. Which, what's this one? Marty plus Rod Steiger equals nothing. Marty plus Ernest Hemingway equals Oscar. Because he won the Oscar for Marty. Yeah.
Dawn of the Duke. So these are little mock ads, you know,
Yeah.
that referring to Dawn of the Living Dead, the Romero movie. So that's really nice. I mean, watching that. It came out at the same time, I think. This is early 80s.
What, the
Dawn
Green
of the
Beret-
Dead was like 81, I
Yeah,
think.
but this is Green Berets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that,
Yeah.
Dawn of the Living
yes,
Dead.
the ad. Yeah, the ad. Yeah.
That's from True Grit.
Yeah.
Green Berets. This is from
Feel your
somewhere else, but
hand.
look how beautiful that he's done the Duke. It's just like
Yeah.
it's so grotty and
Now this story, the incredible shrinking Joe Franklin, actually Joe Franklin hated this and he sued him for millions of dollars, but it got thrown out of court because it's not true. He didn't shrink. Oh, hang on, go back. See, the incredible shrinking Joe Frank, he shrinks down to really small size in the comic, and they're, you know, the magazine was going to go to the wall. He was going to go to jail. Couldn't pay for it and all
for
that stuff.
shrinking.
Yeah, but the judge threw it out because he says none would believe
That you're shrinking.
You would shrink down to 6 inches.
Yes.
Anyway, later on, he became a fan of Drew, and he became a great fan because he didn't quite get what he was about.
Oh, that's probably why the lawsuit.
That's
He didn't
right.
get it. He didn't understand it.
That's
What?
right.
You're making fun of me? You're making fun of me?
But I mean, if you hated that guy, why would you spend all that time drawing that face?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
as simple
It's
as that.
Like you spent a day on this.
Yeah.
So don't tell me this is hate. Your hate doesn't work that way. So Tor, he comes back to Tor quite a lot.
He's
There's
on the
Tor
New
again.
York tour on the
Tor having fun on Subway.
all by himself.
But really, you're a great audience. So these are, lines from shtick,
Yeah.
lines from comedians, their own.
That's after he's
Wayne
criticised
Newton.
him.
Yeah. Oh, goodness me. Oh gosh, they're this is getting more like Mad Magazine from the 1950s. This stuff that just the antics and the tiny little panels. I mean, this page, right? This is the size it's reproduced in the magazine. So you've got 10 panels, 10 panels, which is quite a lot. That's a lot of panels, and this one's got even more. 14 panels. So there's a lot of work here, and you got to really get right up close to the comic and to catch all of the references that he's putting in there. Which I won't do that. I won't grab you and push you into the comic, but eventually we will. That's a lovely. Joe DeRita, of course, is one of the Three Stooges, one of the Curlies. This is Joe DeRita of the Apes. It's really, it's weird, but it's cute at the same time. So I think that's the thing that comes to mind with his work. The Lou Costello Jr. story. That's a really sad end. Of course, Lou Costello's son died. He was drowned in a pool. And he actually went on to a show. He did a show moments after he found out. And Abbott tried to talk him out of it.
Yeah.
Everybody, the manager, everyone tried to talk him out. Don't go on. He says, no. I've got to do this. This is for Lou. This is for his son. So he actually went on stage and did a routine, a Hay Abbott routine, about his. He did the routine as a homage to his son who died. Of course, he was inconsolable. Afterwards, of course, the Abbott came on stage and explained to the audience what the context was that they saw. If you saw anything in between the lines or something, this is what's happened, folks. So that was a big moment. To actually put that in a comic is gut wrenching. It's really
this is the guy.
When I first saw that, I did not know that
ju-
this happened to Lou Costello.
That just tells you how he loves these guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To do
So
it,
that was very moving, and that was in Heavy Metal magazine, I think.
But all this stuff, in a way, is a homage to these people.
Yeah, Joe Franklin again. comes back to Joe Frank. He probably would have sued over this one. This is him sleepwalking and going to Triple X shows and things like that. So kind of impugning his behaviour. Wabbits. They're just taking. Look at them. They're like old people's homes and in wheelchairs and.
Larry Fine.
I live a full and happy
Larry
life.
Fine,
Yeah, so they're kind of looking at these people.
Yeah.
These comedians that he loved.
This guy who did the voice of Elmer Fudd ended up sitting on stairs saying wabbits.
What are you talking about? That's
in real life.
Mel Blanc.
No, read that.
Oh, did he do the original Elmer Fudd?
I think he did, yeah. Because Elmer Fudd was pretty early.
Yeah, it was in the 30s.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I didn't know that.
So, they're all homages,
Yeah. They're almost like Ripley's Believe It or Nots as well. That's what you get from this. You get sort of a reminder in a way of some authenticity. There's some believability or authenticity in these realistic caricatures, these drawings of these stars that are lovingly done, and then the situations that they find themselves in. It's just amazing that quality. Oh, this is from
It's
Bewitched.
Darren. It's Darren, yeah.
Yeah, and he had Dick York.
Yeah.
So he had a sad ending. A lot of them, obviously, because they get very decrepit in their old age. So they have sad endings. Our Gang, whatever became of Our Gang. So again, it's a little bit of a mixture of Mad Magazine, in a way, in his own context. Certainly 1950s Mad, with the height of the very energetic and insulting what's his name?
I'll never forget what's his name.
With a little man, Kurtzman, Harvey Kurtzman.
Oh, Harvey, yeah.
Harvey. I'll
Who
never
actually,
forget Harvey.
he was the teacher of this bloke.
Yeah.
See, here's Hollywood Love Supreme. Here is Rock with Gina Lollobrigida, but the love of his life was what's his name? Gomer. And this is not a true thing, but this is,
Well,
they're being married, and it says "Adu."
Yeah. So you look
And his
at.
sergeant is next to him crying.
Well, he was his best friend.
I know, but he's crying.
Yeah, there's some lovely stories about these guys. When you Google, if you were to Google them, the relationship between Sarge and Gomer is
And of
quite
course,
touching.
Jim Nabors.
Look at all the little personalities, all the people in the background.
Yeah.
And this is I know him.
Oh, that's-
Wally.
No,
Not Wally Binghamton. It's
I mean, Drew Friedman loves this stuff,
Yeah.
and he plays Jim Nabors records.
Yeah,
because he had a great voice.
Frank Sinatra Jr. So they're kind of sweet and sad at the same time.
Yes.
That's really cool. The Laugh Makers. He beep 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 beep. It's Shemp. Ah, there he is. Wally Cox.
Oh, Wally Cox. He
Yeah.
was in. He was in. McHale's Navy.
No. He's in a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
that's
Got a screwed up face.
yeah. No, it's Binghamton.
Oh yeah.
Really, really cool stuff here. Cover Girls, here we go. New York Elevator Men, A Vanishing Breed. So these are caricatures of people that he finds in old photographs or something. They could be, anything like, 1940s, I would say. Looking at these shapes, these types of faces. God knows where they come from. They could be mugshots from
They could be
from jail,
yeah.
or from society pages or sports pages or something like that. But just the incredible variety. There's our mate Prime Minister John Gordon.
It does look like him, doesn't it?
But just the variety of these shapes, I really respond to shapes, and having fun with shapes like this is really incredible to see it. And a whole page of it like that is
early
great
criminal Whitlam before he went off the rails and became a politician.
and still remain a criminal.
Look at all this.
And
Boy, watch it.
this is lovely. This is Screw magazine with Ernest Borgnine on the cover. I mean, you couldn't get better than that. It's like this is a porn magazine with porn articles and porn pictures and things like that.
It's a
and look what they put on the cover. It's so wickedly cool. Yeah, it's
about
brilliant.
context. It's about his work works so well with the context.
Yeah, but that is a really tight drawing. It's a beautiful style. You know, it's hypnotic when you get into it. You
Yes.
see all the little age spots and things like that, and the attention to details that he's able to get into their faces is just incredible. All nude. I don't know who that is, but it looks really interesting. Yeah, so screw covers. Brilliant. Brilliant idea. This is the Three Stooges, of course, and Larry Fine. Gypsy woman prophesies fame to firstborn son of Mrs. Feinberg before Larry's birth. Had she known it would look like that, she probably wouldn't have gone through it. But you know,
I mean,
the
for instance, he's more fierce in that drawing than in the photo which it's taken from. He just is.
yeah.
It's more effective, as you said.
It's exaggerated the expressions
Yeah.
as well. And this is from 1900s or something.
Well, it's vaudeville. It's
early vaudeville.
Yeah.
The violinist who does the Russian dance, that guy. This looks like Larry Fine's first foray into stage, and I think they grabbed him from that. So on stage
with Ted Ely.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Well,
Eddie Cantor.
That's your dad, Eddie Cantor.
And just that's a really nice Eddie Cantor was known for these sort of expressions. A lot of those actors and comedians of that era had this sort of a signature look.
Yeah, but they're on stage and they had to virtually do something so people in the back row could see their faces.
But it's
you know?
but even going into the modern era in the 1960s, you've got Buddy Hackett with that sort of marbles in his mouth.
Yes.
You know, it still works. That's what I'm saying. It still works. These guys didn't have a signature look, but they just work so well together. Abbott and Costello. This is the story of Abbott and Costello. So whether it's true or not, don't know. But it's really nice. There's the loss of his son over there. So it's really touching and evocative of that era. It's a homage to, the people of a bygone time. Very, very nice.
Trading cards.
Yeah, trading cards, but not real. They're just drawn to make look like it's a trading card in a comic magazine. Trading card ads. And Plan 9 from Outer Space. It's a comic. But it's not a poster for the film, but it's lovingly put together. It's really beautiful. Paul Henning, among his other characters. Paul Henning, I don't know who Paul Henning is.
Well, maybe he wrote them.
Maybe he wrote them.
That's the...
There's Arnold from Green Acres.
Yeah, and that's Miss... what's his name from Beverly Hillbillies? And there's
Miss
Jen over
Hathaway.
here. Yeah. And he always plays headmasters and teachers. And judges.
Great.
This guy wasn't impressed either.
Fred Blassie.
Yeah, he was really unimpressed. really.
I guess it's the context
Really
where,
wanted
where,
to
where it is.
sue the pants off him, but he came around. He came around and realised what he was doing.
It's difficult. I would imagine it'd be very difficult to sue him. You might be angry that it appeared in a men's magazine, cover of Screw or something, but the illustration kind of speaks for itself. Very interesting. This guy's funny. I remember seeing it the first time. I wasn't sure whether you're looking at a Muppet or what.
He's got a very tiny mouth and a big chin.
But the same thing is Crumb. When Crumb does these bluegrass musicians, they kind of like lovingly illustrated. He'll do this for comedians and for these characters that he's using in the comic, and they're really beautifully told.
He published a
sensitive
book on Jewish
stories.
comedians, and also there's
Chief.
Yeah, there's the Chief.
Yeah, this guy Ed Platt, I think it is, Lord of Ettingville. This character, I guess he just liked the shapes of the face. But look at some of these. These are like famous,
Well, he's probably one of the. They had a Popeye lookalike contest.
Yeah, there would be like famous, freaky photographs of weird people. Of course, today you can get all of those on Instagram, but back then you had to do some searching, you had to look, So I don't know where you would have gotten these from. Old magazines. The Rat Pack, yeah. I never really responded to this. It kind of, because of the character, I didn't really connect. So, I don't know, I'm not really 100% behind this that character. For their looks. There's a beauty in the grotesque, and this is what
Basil Wolverton.
Basil!
Yeah.
That's what Basil taught us. There's this beauty in the grotesque, and if you look at the Garbage Pail Kids, for example, their success is based on the novelty of these ugly little characters, lovingly drawn with beautiful attention to detail. So that's what you're looking at.
A romance that media missed.
Yeah. I'd have to.
They're reading comics. They're sharing comics. Look.
Yeah, this I think would be that would be in National Lampoon. And there we go, Hollywood Hell. So very interesting. This it comes complete with a window to your soul. Very interesting stuff.
There he is. That's his dad, and they're his brothers.
Yeah. Robot monster. Some guy in a gorilla suit and deep-sea diving helmet featured in a 1953 cinematic vehicle of the same name. So, you would never have understood any of this stuff really without Drew Friedman's loving brush and, pen. And not even a pen, like a technical pen, or a pictograph. So there you have it. It's
there's the
Drew Friedman.
Yeah, Crumb and Terry Southern, they rave about him.
Yeah.
And of course they've cut it out, and of course all around the corners.
Yeah, the borders
Good
of
stuff,
some great stuff, and they're all B films, they're all horror films.
Yeah.
Brain That Wouldn't Die, whichever that is. They're all B films. And some of them, looks like some of them are from silent films, and maybe some early 60s Outer Limits.
Early 60s, yeah.
So, this is Comic Art, and this is Drew Friedman.
And we'll come back to this.
Yeah, we'll have a look at this soon. I don't know what we're going to use for a tile. Probably going to use Shemp. I would like to use Shemp as a tile.
Yes.
For this thing.
This magazine is worth checking out. I don't know if it's still going, but it's a cross between Comics Journal and Art in America. It is that good.
Yeah,
it is
I don't want to show you any more of that stuff.
And
in
that
there,
article
I
on
haven't
Drew,
brought my,
article on Drew Friedman,
Yeah.
has just as many facts as if you read a book on the subject. It's really incredible. It's really incredible.
Chock full of stuff. And, as I said to you before, who could possibly be a bigger Shemp fan than me? I reckon this guy. And, he certainly deserves all of the accolades that we can possibly give him. All right, this is Franz Cantor and
Cartoon President Jim Bridges saying,
subscribe.
That's right.
Subscribe. There's a button down there. Right, they're pointing the wrong direction. Down that way, there's a red button which says subscribe. Then you can also hit the little bell, ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, and the little bell will tell you when new things are in the works and coming your way. Other than that, you can also support the Australian Cartoon Museum with your patronage on Patreon.
Yes. Yes.
And we're greatly indebted to you for that.
We've made over 400 films on our YouTube
I still don't believe
channel.
it.
We've made more.
I don't believe that.
But he can't remember. He's got a bad memory.
Cheap at half the price.
Check them out, and we're starting to run a bit empty. So we do need your support. Okay.
Well, we need your love. That's what we need. We need love.
Yes, lots of love and support.
Yeah. So we like talking about cartoons. If you've got any ideas for a cartoonist or an illustrator or somebody that we can feature, we can talk about, please drop us a line and
and we'll share your love with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all about love, folks. It's all about cartoons.
All you need is cartoons. I mean love. Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for the sour persimmons, cousin.